Christian parenting.
Hey, Jennifer, welcome back to Part of the Mess.
Hey, Courtney.
How are you today?
It's a beautiful spring day, and I'm great.
We're looking springy. I've got the pink and white. You've got the
Yeah.
green. We're looking like we're recording this the couple days before Easter, but this may come out in the summer. But who knows? Who knows? But I was looking back, and I can't believe it's been 2 years since you were on.
It's crazy.
I thought it was a year. I would have put money on it that it was a year ago.
Well, I listened to it back this morning just in preparation for talking to you, and I laughed because I thought, oh, it was so hopeful, like on the precipice. It's kind of like talking to an expectant mom, and then coming back to her when her kids are 18 months old.
Okay, I have so many questions. So this is like such a dumb question, but like, how have you filled your time? Is it felt quiet? Like, how's it feel? You have triplets that were there every day, and then for 2 years, they've not been there every day.
So I went back to work this year. So in the second year, I went back to work, which has been amazing at 50 years old and 20 years out of the workforce to go back. I was fostering for the first year, and so kind of had a foot in the parenting world and a foot out, and it was all or nothing when I'd have a kid. I was all in at fifth grade award ceremonies, et cetera, and then it'd be real quiet. Traveled a lot, and I just started dating my husband again, which was really nice.
Oh, gosh, which is so huge. You see how many people get divorced at that moment, and you get it because you're like, oh, it's you again. I haven't talked to you in like 20 years. So that's got to be shocking and also freeing to be like, oh, you again. That's so fun.
It is, and it's like dating someone that you know, but that you haven't had a chance to just be a playmate with as much. You've been in the trenches and you've been doing all these things together, but it's fun to just play again.
I love it. Where are you doing? I don't even know what you do for work.
So I am executive director of a nonprofit foundation. So I'm loving it. I had spent the kids' years at home on a lot of boards, doing a lot of things I cared about for free. So it's fun to take all that and bring it together and help people figure out what different nonprofits in my town are doing and how to get to those.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So you listened back this morning, and we'll link to that first episode, but tell me what was better than you thought. And I didn't give you this question ahead of time, so I'm throwing one at you, but what was maybe better than you thought, or maybe what was harder than you expected?
Again, I just compare it to being about to give birth, and you've read all the books and you've felt the pains and you kind of know what's coming. I think what's been better than I thought is there is a lot to be said. This is going to make people clutch their pearls, but for out of sight, out of mind. And there are a lot of lessons that it's just better that your kids are learning, for me at least, without me right there, because the pressure to intervene, to try to redirect, to try to go, if I were right there all day, every day, versus them being away where even if I wanted to, I couldn't really, intervene or change things. What's worse than I thought is Thanksgiving is really hard because it's this short holiday and everyone's coming back with all this pressure and trying to reacclimate, but they are different versions of themselves than what you sent off. So the family dynamic is there, but it's different every time because of the ways they've grown and changed or whatever they happen to be going through. So I thought it was just freshman year Thanksgiving so hard, but it happened again this year. And so now I've just learned to kind of change my expectations for really short holidays like that. Christmas break, you've got a lot more time to kind of work things out. But those short breaks, you just got to love each other and that be enough.
So are they just pushing up against boundaries? Are they spending time with their friends? What makes the rub so hard?
For us, it really is just the dynamic. And I guess, I don't know if it's triplets. My friends with kids all different ages have said the same thing. Once they leave, so much of your time with them is one-on-one and individual. And so you get in these rhythms with your young adult kids, you and them. And when it's you and them and them and them, and everyone is trying to massage those new dynamics, sibling wise, kid to dad, kid to mom, there's just a lot going on. If you've got some peacemaker in you that just wants everybody to smile and take fun pics and enjoy each other.
I get that. All right. Well, what I know about you and what I've always loved about you is you are constantly looking to Jesus. Like, what are you teaching me in this? And there's not a moment, good or bad, that if I've seen you go through, that you're not just asking God, where are you in this? And what are you teaching me? And so what is God teaching you right now in this season of parenting these kiddos?
Yeah. So, right now in this season, God is teaching me a lot about not looking back and going, ooh, could we avoided this lesson or that lesson if we had done this differently? And to remember that at every stage, we did the best we could with what we knew at the time. And it is so easy to think, but the outcome isn't yet
Mm.
what I, hoped or thought, or, oh, we hit this bump in the road. And I'm just learning a lot about obedience for obedience sake, not obedience for outcome's sake.
Wow. That is huge. I'm feeling that already. And as you know, Ella's going to college in the fall. And there's something in me that doesn't want her to struggle because of me. And I think that I get panicky about what if this is her story and what if this. So I'm more like, almost anticipating pain that would be my fault. And so that is a weird dynamic to be like, okay, but so I love that you said that because it's like, hey, I did the best I could. She may or may not hit that bump in the road, but it's almost like casting ahead, being like, because you had time before. I think before you're like, oh, we've got another 4 years to kind of sort that out. And you're like, no, she's leaving in August. So we've done
Right.
everything we can.
And I think what's hard too is if you get in your head too much about all that, then when you do have time with your kid, I'm not going to say you. I have found myself in situations where I'm spending that time trying to unravel or redo or course correct. And it's frustrating for everyone. And one of my kids is particularly verbal, like their mother. And that child has pointed out to me, hey, you say you're so proud of me. You say that, you just love seeing what God's doing in my life. But then when you're with me, it's a list. And
Wow.
that was a really painful conversation, frankly, one that I'm really grateful they had with me early on so that I had an opportunity to cry and pray and ask for forgiveness and sort of work on that, especially when they've been living on their own and learning to stand on their own 2 feet is so important to them. It's just really tricky when you think, oh, but love is me continuing to coach you and try to save you from these potholes, and love to them feels like just show me that you believe in me.
Wow. It's so I had a conversation with Sissy Goff and David Thomas last week, and they said connection over correction. And I'm like, oh,
Mm.
say it again because I wouldn't call it correction. I would call it like lovingly guiding, or what would we say in a 90-day review at work? Like,
Coaching.
here's your coaching, or here are your areas for improvement. Like, and it
Yes.
just feels like correction. And so I'm so glad whichever one of your children said that because I'm going to need to sit on that and anticipate I would do that. I would be like, and here's 8 more things I forgot to tell you.
Yes.
So,
And some of it is our own, like they're gone and we're sitting at home and we are kind of looking in the rearview mirror and which there is some wisdom in that. But I think at some point, just what has been is what has been. And of course, if you need to apologize for things or you need to, but just the nitpicking and the Monday morning quarterbacking, it's a very slippery slope. And
yeah.
pride often can get really involved in that for us as parents.
Yes, gosh. Absolutely. Hey, I want to go back to your job for a second. I want to ask you about this. Was that scary? I can anticipate there's a lot of moms out there that were not in the workforce full time for some time. Did you go through insecurities? Like, do I even know how to do an email? Like, we had fax machines. What in the world is happening?
Yes, I did. And what's great about this is I had been involved in this organization already
Okay.
and was asked to come and do this. So that
Okay.
helped a little bit, but a lot of laughter with there's only one other person in my office of I didn't know how to scan on a scanner. And we used this software and, but also I do think it's helpful to think of it in terms of my children. Everything about adulthood and young adulthood is coming at them fast and they're having to learn. And so there is something really great about knowing my story isn't done yet. I'm 50 years
Mm.
old and God willing, I still got decades where I can be a contributor. And so it's exciting and humbling. Definitely, there have been some moments where I'm like, oh, what in the old days of like dialing in and leaving voicemails for everyone? What are listservs? What are we doing?
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, and I think for me, I've had conversations with young moms that are looking ahead, going, if I feel like God is nudging me to stay home, but I'm scared of what that would mean on the other side. And so what I'm hearing you say is that He's going to sort it out. It's like,
Yes, yes. And what's interesting is I used to tease with my husband, like my dream job would be XYZ with no idea that really that could be a job. And I'm doing it. now
Oh,
at 20 hours a week. So I can still travel and see my kids. And anyway, it's just a really sweet reminder that God is preparing us for what he has next, even when it doesn't feel like it.
so good. So good. All right, back to parenting. So, empty nest stage, what does it require?
Ooh, restraint. I know you're a SEC football girl, so you will get this analogy, but um, a lot of really emotional coaches have what they call get back coaches that hold their belt loops to keep them during particularly emotional parts of the game from crossing the line and
Yep.
getting on the field and getting in trouble. And my husband and I have really had to learn how to be each other's get back coach because we have different triggers. We have different things. And there are some things that's really easy for me to not intervene on. And his set of things are totally different. And so we'll teasingly sort of pull each other's, back of our pants sometimes and go, get back, coach, get back.
I love that analogy.
And I think it is as exhausting to show restraint as it is to do the heavy lifting of parenting. And I think for me, the exhausting part of parenting is knowing right now at this stage, knowing when to just get back and be
I'm not
quiet.
very good at getting back. So, this is going to be, can you move in with me and grab my belt loop? That'd be amazing.
Listen, only if you grab my back.
So good. And I think have learned not only am I getting better at getting back, but I'm also getting better about apologizing and saying, like, hey, I should have just not gotten involved. And I typically will mess things up more than I will help. It's like, you got to remember, and I'm preaching to myself that Ella's 18 and she knows what she's doing for the most part. And even if she messes it up, I would have complicated the whole thing. I've done that on multiple like homecoming prom things, trying to like fix it and make sure everybody has a spot. And then I've messed the whole thing up. And she's like, if you would have just let me
Yes.
communicate about the dinner. I mean, those are silly examples, but I can imagine as the stakes get higher, it's hard to get back when this could mean major things for their life, right?
Yes. I mean, things like changing majors, things like, the friend group that they found. There have been a couple of things where I've just been like, and learning to get back because the lesson, just like in our own lives, is so much more cemented into them when it is about choices they made and the consequences of those choices, as opposed to them blaming us, right? Like
Right.
that would have all worked out if, so getting out of the way also takes away some of the scapegoat and allows them to really learn and to get their legs under them.
I love it. One thing I was thinking this morning was, I think I'm going to have trouble discerning, like, say, so Ella's going to be far, and if she's hurting, it's going to like get to my heart. So, how do you discern on, I guess that's a God thing. How do you discern when to actually step in if they're in a season of hurt or pain or struggle and you feel like it's beyond what they can handle? I mean, you just wait for them to ask you or you offer. Like, how do you discern that? That's so hard.
Well, this is where I just think the foundation of relationship with your kid is essential
Mhm.
because I've had two of my three go through very difficult things at school, and all
Mhm.
three were out of state and far away. And both times I was trying to discern whether I needed to go there or
Mhm.
not. And in one case, I did. And in one case, I didn't. And the case that I didn't, that kid chose not to even tell me until they were on the other
Mm.
side of it. And so it's so just, Lord, right now in this situation, what is the wise thing to do? I mean, it is the constant prayer at this age because the reality is you're blessed when they let you know that they're hurting because sometimes they're not going to let you know. And so you just have to take it as it comes. No
Yeah.
formula, no formula.
Okay. Shoot. I was hoping you could provide that today. It was like, oh, we have to go to God and pray. All right. Fine, fine, fine. Okay. So on hurting kids, I have talked to a number of moms this year that things were hard and they can't talk about it and their kids can't talk about it. And so what's looking like from the surface is everybody's doing amazing. So how have you walked through moments like that? Is it your local community? Is it your husband? Because I think that would be a lonely place if we're all looking. It's like everybody's posting these pictures and their kids look happy. And then I find out, like literally, I know a friend of mine that's off at school and her pictures are like she's having the time of her life. And then you talk to the mom, it's like, oh, she's miserable and wants to come home. You're like, what? And so I think it's not just the parents, but it's the kids because like it's their story. And so how have you walked through feeling like, hey, other people are struggling?
That's right. So again, it's really kid specific. And I have one kid who has let me know over and over and over again how much they value their privacy. And so that kid, when they're going through a really rough patch, is a very small circle that is praying and knows. I have another who came home, after a first year. And so there's no way to really keep that.
Yeah.
They're home. And so we've been practicing how to talk about that, what parts of it to talk about. And what's been really great is in real life talking about it, not on the internet
Yep.
talking about it. The number of adults that have said, me too, me too, me too, or my oldest this, or I mean, Courtney, what felt so lonely when I wasn't talking about it with people in my real life, a whole new world opened up when I started not airing all the everything,
Yeah.
just a little line of, well, we'll regroup and got a little of this. And the number of people who have just been tremendous and helped, I hate to use the word normalize, but normalize
Yeah.
that there is no A, B, C, D, E, F trajectory that works for every person in every situation.
Yeah, I tell all my high school girls, 'cause I have a small group leader. I was like, y'all know I made a 1.7 my first semester. And they're like, what? I'm not proud of it. I'm not giving you permission, but I'm telling you, like, I'm a pretty capable and put together person. I was
Right,
president of half the organizations on campus, but I really did not like going to class. And
right.
so, like, saying I was on probation, like all those things. But I think you're right. It makes their shoulders go down a little bit and the tents go out to go, like, okay, like you just find your way. But I'm grateful for moms like you. And I have another friend, Cynthia, who's actually the host of this. When I asked her about that first year of college, she said, it doesn't look like social media. Like they will call and your heart will break and you have to be okay with and so I'm glad she gave me the heads up because in my mind, I only remember the fantastic parts about going to Auburn and it was so fun. But I forgot there's real adjustment for both the parent and the kid and that you didn't do anything wrong and the kid isn't weird or not going to be a successful adult if they stumble too. And so,
In the last time that I was on, we talked about baby adults, that we have
mm,
these like infant adults. And so a couple of years in, I'm like, now we have toddler adults.
cute.
And toddlers are magical creatures, but they're consistently inconsistent, right? Like
Yeah.
one minute they're reciting the Pledge of Allegiance or their ABCs, and you're like, they're brilliant. And the next, they're like putting things up their nose, and you're like, what are you doing? And I think that is true of what I'm finding. Three almost 21-year-olds in three different places doing three different things. And this like asynchronous development where there's like this one area where, their emotional intelligence is off the charts, but their common sense, you're like, you did what? So you just have to remember toddlers. They haven't been doing this very long. And of course, they're not going to be very coordinated at it yet. They're
Yeah.
figuring it out.
Well, and I just love that you have triplets because what an interesting, I'm sure it's stressful to have all three at the same stage every time, but also just a reminder that they're all just unique human beings, that God just made them all so differently. So there wouldn't be a formula because you're like, this is what a 21-year-old does. Like, no, this is what this one does. This is what this one does. This is where they're at their stage. That's
That's
fine.
exactly right. That's exactly right.
Love it. Okay, so looking back, and I know you didn't get it perfectly, and no one did, but as you look back over the years that they were in your home, are there a few things that come to mind if we've got someone listening that's, super intentional, is like, I want to learn from an empty nester mom? What are some things you're glad that you did in the time they were in your home?
I am glad that we invested in a foundation of faith and a foundation of relationships with each other
Love it.
because at the end of the day, love covers a multitude of sins. And I think the one thing that has been beautiful is I know that my kids do not doubt that God loves them and that we love them. And those things I'm grateful. Also, and I didn't even realize this one, but somebody else pointed out to me the other day, my kids are so different from each other, even though they were raised at the exact same time by the exact same people, but they are all passionate about things. I mean, all in on things. And so that has been really fun to watch how they kind of run with some of these passions and how it is carving out a space for each of them in the things that they're doing. And so I am enjoying watching that. And I'm glad that we did support them being their own unique versions, fearfully and wonderfully made of themselves.
Love it. Love it. So, so good. Okay. What have you learned about yourself this year? You posted some things on Instagram and you went new places and you tried new places. So tell us some fun things, but also just what has God taught you about you as a person as you've had time to kind of focus more on you versus the kids this year?
How funny. I didn't think this would be the question that would make me cry, but this is
Oh,
the one that makes me tear up. You know what? I turned 50 this year, and I think I just like me. I
mm,
like me now, all warts and all, quirks and all. I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and I don't really care.
So good.
I can see God's hand all along the way. I am enjoying still having a sense of adventure and knowing that 50, I told somebody the other day, 50 feels like a broken in passport to me, where it's got a lot of stamps and cool stories, but there's still a lot of blank pages. So I feel sort of legit in a way that maybe up until about now, I've felt like I'm just posing as an adult because we're just doing the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And then time slows down a little and you go, wait, I am an adult with some life experience. And I can't wait now to go through the next couple of decades, God willing, thinking, okay, what's next? What's the next adventure?
You are the queen of illustrations, and I just love them. Like
I'm a
this.
metaphor girl. I speak fluent metaphor.
It's so much. Love it so much. So fun. Okay, well, let's it. Gosh, that was so good. And I totally agree. I think I'm getting there. It was like it's so exhausting to care what people think all the time and be like, this is just me, it's just me. And I love the passport. I'm not gonna forget that. Okay, speak to the mom whose kids are going to college and this will make me cry, but we're scared and we're really scared and we're excited, but we're scared. And so speak to that group of moms.
So I'm going to speak to that group of moms as believers, and I'll tell you that when my kids left, I realized that when my kids were little in our church, we do infant baptism, but maybe people do dedications or whatever. And I actually had my pastor send me those vows back, like the things that we promise of giving our kids to the Lord. And reading that when your kid is going off to school and going, okay, that was easy to say when they were this little thing that I thought I could protect and mold and do all these things for. But now is when I really wish you could say the vows again. And maybe in your heart, that would be what I would say to you to do, to say the same God that I trusted with all of this possibility when they were a babe in arms is the God that I now trust, sending them out into the world. The same one that I've been saying, what story are you writing? What story are you writing? This is where the real trust for us comes into.
Whoa, do you have that? Will you send it to me?
I will find it. I will find it.
I've
Yes.
got to think who Jeff Henderson did, I think both of mine. So I'm like, that is a brilliant idea to look back and just look at what they said and what
Yes, you
we
make those
prayed.
promises. It's like a vow renewal in your marriage, right? You're like renewing your vows in parenting of, okay, God, I really mean it, even more than I ever had to, and confess in the places where maybe you can't say that you honestly really mean it and you're nervous and
Yeah.
you're scared, and be able to be honest about that because we all are. And what you said about feeling lonely, I go on a lot of long walks with moms, and we are all scared. We're all trying to trust. We're trying to do the right thing. We're trying to release the reins. But it was our sole job for the first
Mm,
18, 19 years to keep them safe, to keep them alive, to try to, and so to just rip the Band-Aid off of that and say, okay, that's not my job anymore. It's alive. And so
yeah.
give yourself grace in figuring out how to do that.
Yeah. Okay, I'm a mess. It's like that Moses in the basket. You're like, I just want to go with you, but I can't. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's horrible.
Yeah. You
And
can't.
man.
And you shouldn't. And I'll tell you a passage of scripture that I've been going back to is the story of Joseph in Genesis. And, he was the favorite. He had his coat of many colors. And then all these things happened. And I teach fifth and sixth grade girls Sunday school, and we draw out a plot line every time we do the story of Joseph's life from here to here, up and down, up and
Yeah.
down. And over, in I think it's chapter 39 says, and God was with him.
Oh,
And
wow.
God was with him. And God was with him, not just in the highs, but in the lows. And that's just the part that you've got to know. And that's the beauty of our faith, is that when you're not with her, he is. And he can do a lot more than you ever could anyway. You just
True. He's way better at it. Jennifer, thank you so much. It's so timely for me. And I love that I get to hear it now, just a couple of weeks before graduation as we record, and then I'll get to replay it right before she leaves this summer. So thank you for being just so honest and real and inspirational, but also just, like you said, settling, like to be like, I am not alone in these ups and downs as a mom. You're fantastic. And I just thank you so much for being here.
thanks for having me, Courtney.
Loved it.
Christian parenting.